What's up, wealth builders? Can you hear me? Just making sure. This is my first time streaming live from Zoom, so just let me check on both fronts to make sure we're up and live. Hold up. Sorry, guys. Again, I'm not the most tech savvy. Okay, sound is good. Let's get right to it. All right. Welcome, wealth builders, to Wealth Builder Wednesdays. And today we have a topic that a lot of people avoid. And let me start by saying this is not going to be all about death and depressing. This is going to be informative and make you feel that you are in control of what you're doing and what your life has in store. So I'm really glad that you guys are here tonight because before we talk about trust or wills, I want to name something. Most people avoid this topic not because they don't care, but because it feels super heavy. So tonight, we're not doing fear and we're not going to do legal jargon because that's the other part that makes trust and will so overwhelming. And it kind of makes us avoid it because it feels like it's too high level to really understand everything that's involved. And we're definitely not going to be doing overwhelm. Tonight is going to be super basic. Anybody that has joined Wealth Builder Wednesday, you guys know that I like to take things in steps so that you feel empowered when you leave your first session. And if you guys feel like this is a topic that we need to do a deep dive on and you want the advanced level version of this, I'm happy to do that as well. But I have to get feedback from you all, and we need a lot of engagement to understand what you all need and what makes sense. So today we're naming this a clarity conversation because it's not about death. You want to know what it's really about? It's about control. How are things going to be handled if something were to happen to you tomorrow? That's a scary question for some people. So let me start by asking, let's warm it up. In the chat on the YouTube live, type yes if you've ever thought, I know I should handle this, but just not right now. And it's okay. Whichever answer you have is totally okay. Type no if you've already handled it, which is great. I want you guys to give yourselves permission to give yourself grace and to not always have to be perfect and to have everything in order because the time is right when you decide to do it. Both answers are completely fine, whether it's yes or no. Whether you've got your affairs in order or things set up, this call is still for you because there may be some things that a lot of attorneys and people that you set up these entities with haven't shared with you because, again, they're in business. And if they don't let you know that down the line, this document may not hold up, your family's going to have to hire them again to resolve the issue. So think about that. Now, I want to paint a really clear picture for you guys so that we're all starting on the same page. I want you to imagine two families, both hardworking, both own assets, both thought that they were doing perfectly fine. How many of us right now, like, look, I'm fine, life is good, I'm not dealing with anything right now, I'm in great health, there's nothing to worry about? One family had clarity, not perfection, clarity. The other had assumptions. How many of us have been moving around with assumptions or stories that were passed down to us about what's really going on with our homes, our estates? I'm telling you, I see this all the time. I know so many people who are shocked once death hits the family of what's really happening behind the scenes. So same world, but very different outcomes. We're talking about clarity versus assumptions. And the challenge is a lot of times we don't know when we're living off of assumptions. That's the crazy part. That's the kicker. And oh, I see my girl Andrina. She's in the chat tonight. Let me tell you right now, please drop your email. I'm going to continue this live, but I need your email address, please. Please type it out and make sure it's correct. Now, the clarity versus assumptions difficulty is that a lot of us don't know that we are operating on assumptions, because when someone told us what was going on with our family, our state, the properties that are under, our names and all of that good stuff, they told you a story that was passed down from generation to generation to generation of who owns what, who has what, who gets what. And when things hit the fan and tragedy strikes, none of that stuff lines up. So I want to make sure that you guys aren't living on assumption right now. And if you're not sure, then that means that you don't have clarity. So if you're somewhere in the middle, you're still missing the clarity piece. Okay? So that's why this conversation matters before anything goes wrong. So let's clear this up together. Getting your affairs in order does not mean that you're old. It does not mean that you have to be wealthy. It doesn't mean that something bad is about to happen to you. It means you're intentional. It means that you're saying, I don't want the state, the courts, or confusion making decisions for me. In the chat, type one word that comes up for you when you hear trust or wills. And I want y'all to be real with me. What is that word? Is it fear? Is it death? Is it, I don't want to do it? I don't know. But what is the word for you that you hear when trust and wills come up? There are no wrong answers. Okay. So at the highest level, guys, here is the simplest way to think about it. A will gives instructions. A trust gives control and continuity. Neither is good or bad by itself. It's the right tool, and it depends on your life. It's choosing the right tool. So when I say that a will gives instructions, literally you're writing out to your family, this is what I hope for, this is what I wish, this is what I want. But sometimes with the will, you're not getting the guidance of an attorney to say, well, what if this happens? Well, what if you and your spouse end up passing at the same time and they're not the next in line? What happens then? There's so many what ifs that sometimes when you work with an attorney directly that's going to designate and do exactly what you say, they've already experienced all of these crazy scenarios and they know how to prompt you to think about things that you may not have foreseen. Another thing about wills is that sometimes people keep them in a shoebox. And if you have a fire, a flood, or a family member happens to not be able to find it, or someone who has ill will destroys it, and you don't have another copy, or it wasn't recorded properly with the county. I have seen this one, and you don't know until 50 years later. There is no recourse. The attorney is not going to get in trouble. You're the one who has to deal with it and may potentially lose your property and your assets because of poor recordation. Whoa. We don't want that for y'all. And this is why we have to have conversations like this now. I have seen families lose everything that have nothing in place. I have seen families lose everything that have things in place that were not structured properly. And you've paid the money, you've spent the time. How do you know if it's done correctly? And that's a part that you need to have someone that you trust and people that are in the business to make sure that you're following the proper steps to ensure that your legacy is protected. And we're going to break down when a will makes the most sense and when a trust makes the most sense, because both are tools, again, but it's about when to use them and then understanding who to go to and then how to execute. So right now we're just learning the basics. Okay, so a trust gives control and continuity. What do we mean by that? Your trust, you're going to say exactly what you want. You can make the craziest requests in your trust, and you can make some really, really cool ones. So I watch a lot of different wealthy people, their biographies and things of that nature, and I came across a trust structure that I really found interesting. And although the children, had lived with wealth all their life, the father said, you won't be able to have access to your trust fund, millions and millions of dollars, until you present us a business opportunity that is worthy of us investing in it to make you money for the rest of your life. So the children were scrambling. They're 17, 18, 19, trying to find an opportunity or business that was lucrative enough for their parents and the trustee to say, yes, we will relinquish some of your trust fund to you so that we know that when this money is gone, you will always be successful. You won't take what we've earned and the legacy we've built and just let it go up in flames. How many of us have taught the people that we're leaving our legacy to what to do with it? I'm going to sit on that one. How many of us that are leaving something behind have taught our our children and our all of our family members that are going to receive a benefit from it what to do with that and not to lose it? That is very important. You can put that in your trust. You can't access this and that until you go through financial literacy and have a plan on what you're going to do. So I thought that was really, really cool. And that's all different types of things that you can outline in your will or your trust. It's about who makes sure that it's executed once you aren't here. That is the most important part that we're going to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about when a will might be appropriate. So a will might make sense if your situation is very simple. Say you don't own multiple properties in multiple states, or you don't own a property at all. Say you don't have any children or anyone that you want to leave anything particular to. You're mostly concerned with guardianship or just basic instructions for maybe the belongings that you're believing on. Maybe you just want to give, your grandmother's blanket to, your niece or nephew or something like that. That's when a will would make the most sense. It's the most cost effective, and most likely it's going to be executed correctly when it's that simple. And it usually involves a process. So if your situation feels simple right now, type simple in one of the chats. Okay. Now, before we get into a trust, some of you guys may or may not know that I am also a licensed realtor. How many of you are familiar with probate? How many aren't familiar or weren't familiar with probate until after someone died and you thought that their will would suffice, but instead your family ended up going to a war internally? I have seen so many families fall apart through the probate process. What attorneys don't tell you, most attorneys, let me say that, when you go and get a will, is that your estate, your bank funds, your house, all of those things, your assets will go through probate, meaning that you have to go through court, through the state that you have these assets with, where you live, and you have to basically get them to relinquish your assets to your heirs after you've clearly stated in the will what you want. People pay as much as 30% in taxes to their state through probate. I have a particular story where I was helping a family. I came in on the back end, two young daughters who lost both parents. And they actually ended up in foreclosure because of the probate process. They couldn't keep up with the mortgage because they couldn't get the funds from their parents' bank account until the courts relinquished it. And their house was on the verge of being lost because they also didn't have signing authority to sign on behalf of their parents until the courts finished that probate process. Do you know how many people lose their house to probate because of foreclosure, because they cannot get their assets relinquished? Do you think that their parents would have intentionally said, let's give 30% of our money away and almost have our daughters lose our house and our funds because we got a will instead of a trust? I'm going to let y'all think about it. It is crazy, and you're not going to be told or know until tragedy strikes, and everybody is already at an emotional high. So luckily, those two siblings stuck together. 95% of the time, the siblings start fighting. Who gets what? Who's in control? Who's in charge? I want to sell. I want to keep it. And the fights go on and on. The next thing you know, everybody has hired an attorney. They're all losing money every day. They decide to sell the house. The state takes their 30%, and the heirs may walk away with five or $10,000 after everything is done. And you still have to pay taxes on that. I'm being real with y'all because I feel like if I'm not serious when I have these conversations, and the horror stories that I know, that's just one. The horror stories that I have helped people out of, and the horror stories that other colleagues and investors that help people out of difficult situations have told me, you won't even be able to imagine. So this why having conversations like this right now is crucial, because nobody wants to work hard, acquire and accumulate assets. I don't care if it's just a car or your house that you've been living in. You worked hard for that. It should not be taken away due to structural issues that you can fix right now today. Okay? When is a trust appropriate? A trust might make sense when you own assets that you want managed or protected. You want privacy and continuity. You want someone to step in right away without interruption. You care about how and when assets are used. A trust is proactive. It doesn't wait for chaos to organize things. If continuity and control matter to you, type control. I would be typing control in all caps. Totally matters to me. I'm sure you guys can tell. But the continuity part is that if you do have a cash flowing asset, or you set up a structure for your children that will pay them for the rest of their lives, the trust will protect that, and it will protect your family's legacy. So even properties that we've put in our trust, we are actually going to use a continuity offer to always make sure that when we are gone, it could be generations later, that those taxes and that insurance is paid through our additional passive income. So our heirs won't even have to worry about losing the property to taxes, or losing a property due to an insurance claim. They let the insurance lapse. That's the little stuff in the nitty gritty details that we put into our trust. And also, we can always change it and update it as we see fit. And you can have way more than one trust. There's so many things that you can do with them to protect your family's legacy. And the story I told about probate, and sometimes it takes over a year for the process to commence. I know families that are being dragged through the situation right now. And basically, with the trust, your wishes can be executed right away by your trustee. It doesn't go through the court or anybody, and your assets aren't touched. They are transferred to your family. So it's also a tax shield. And you guys, you can get very, very cost-effective trust. Don't think this is something that you have to spend $5,000, $10,000 on. You can get started with a couple grand, and at least get that structure in place. Now, there are some trusts that cost 40 grand, 100 grand. Those are ones for investors that want to completely remove their identity from everything that they have, and it's layered and layered and layered so that no one will ever be able to find them if they were to look up this information. A lot of people value the privacy because you don't want people knowing, everything that you have. That's just part of protecting your family and the legacy. You don't want every property that you have and all of that stuff to be public. So a trust also helps with that. Now, the biggest mistake people make is not choosing the wrong tool, it's choosing nothing. I'd rather you have that will and go through probate than to have no will and no trust, because your family won't be protected at all when it comes to that, because nobody knows what you wanted to actually happen. Now everyone is guessing. So if you want to do your family a service, tell them exactly what you want. Communicate. And if you don't want to communicate this with them verbally, put it on paper and share it with someone that you trust. And make sure you have copies so that if anything ever happens, you have a witness that has the original, and all the things can be refuted if it ever comes to that. How many people are feeling this is helpful? I love it. Simple control. Um, I really hope that, this makes anyone that's been on the fence about getting this taken care of, just at least, I think this is step one, honestly. Attending an information session like this to know that, okay, if it doesn't happen this week or this month, what is my deadline that I'm going to get my affairs in order for my family? Okay. So, assuming my family knows what I want, assuming we'll just figure it out, assuming I'll do it later, banks don't follow rules, courts follow processes, people follow emotions. Structure removes emotion from decision making. How many of us have made some really bad decisions when we've been acting on emotion? Guilty. Everybody is. We've all had to grow through a process and gain more emotional intelligence. But when it's a death in the family or some type of tragedy, it's hard not to respond with emotion. And when we know how emotional responses can guide us in the wrong way, that just gives us even more reason to say, let me handle this now. Let me get this straight. So let's pause and ground this in the chat. Please answer one of these honestly. One, I've never thought about this clearly. Two, I know I need to address this. Three, I started but didn't finish. Just drop the number one, two, or three. And you guys that are here live too, please drop any questions that you have that you want me to answer, because I'm waiting for you. I know I can go fast sometimes, so I'm going to slow it down right now and wait for some questions. Gotcha. Thank you, Andrina. I tried to forward you over the confirmation and it bounced back. I said, oh, wrong email. So luckily the vanilla gift card said I can just change your email. So I'll do that this evening. Thank you so much. You guys, if you weren't here, we had a Christmas, New Year holiday giveaway, and one of my favorite people is here that comes every week. We have Ali too, and we have Tanuwal. I know you too. You were on our first live. I really appreciate you guys. I'm gonna say it every time. It's really, really important that you're here, you show up. So thank you. But if you can drop one, two, or three, started, not finished. Okay, that's great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I want to say this carefully because this opportunity that I'm going to share with you guys, it isn't for everyone. And again, I want to answer some questions before we close out today. I know I can do a lot of talking and sharing. And also, I want to invite my live people from YouTube that hop in and out to join us on Zoom, please. We would love to have you. This is a new model that we're doing. And I realize when I go live on YouTube, it's awesome. And I'm never going to stop doing that, but it's harder for me to connect with you all, answer your questions, see your faces, call you by name because the writing is so small and we have no spaces. So I don't know what's the first, what's the last. I would love to get to know you guys more personally. A lot of my network, they're investors as well. They know about trust and wills. I'm really doing this for people who are not in real estate. I don't want to overwhelm you with terminology. I just want to inform you about things that you may want to start thinking about. And Tenuwal said, not thought about it. To new all, can you please let me know if this session has now brung you some insight that's made this topic feel a little bit more important or something that you need to take action on? And guys, remember we have a lag delay. But when you come into the Zoom room, you are able to really connect, drop questions in the chat. There are no silly questions. Everything will be addressed. And a lot of times, guys, when you ask me questions, you bring up questions that most people have that I didn't think to cover. It's not because I don't want to cover it, it's just because I'm covering what I think is relevant to you all. But I don't know what's relevant to you all. You know what's relevant. And I'm here to serve the people that are here in the best way that I can. Awesome. So you have received clarity. I love to hear that. If you guys can, I'm going to be posting some polls on the YouTube community. Keep an eye out for that. Make sure that you are subscribed. Be sure to like because I really would like these videos in this channel to reach more people that need to see and have this information. So don't forget to share and just make sure that you stay engaged. And before we leave this evening, I want to say this carefully because this isn't for everyone. If tonight helped you realize I actually need clarity on my situation, my individual situation, not another video, not another Google search, I do offer a 30-minute clarity call. This isn't a sales call, it's a working session. This is best for people who already know that they don't want to leave this to chance anymore. The clarity session, you'll leave with a roadmap that is personalized to you. And on that call, we look at what you own, how it's currently structured, where risk or confusion might exist, and what your next smartest step is. You'll leave with a written strategy plan. Even if we never talk again after that clarity call, you'll have direction. You don't need me to execute that roadmap once we talk. What you need is to stop guessing on your future. In the chat, type clarity if having this mapped out would reduce stress for you. So I'll drop the link for that probably after this call or in the description. If you're not ready, that is completely okay. I trust you in your judgment to make the right decisions for yourself. I'm not a pressure person. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, it's not right for you at this time. But if you are ready, if you know you don't want confusion, delay, or assumption, making decisions for you and your life, this is the next step. It's clarity. Okay, so again, guys, I hope y'all know. Awesome. I'm so happy you guys receive value from this Zoom. I'm so grateful for you all. Wealth isn't just about making money, y'all. It's about protecting our peace. Thank you so much for being here. I will drop the link in the chat in the comments. I so appreciate you guys. I'll give it a couple more minutes to see if anybody has any questions about trust or wills that they want me to cover before I drop off. Any comments that you guys have, I'm open to all of it. What do y'all, I was going to talk about LLCs and the difference in how you can structure that stuff and then connect it back to trust and wills the next week. But what do you guys want to hear about? What topics are you interested in? Hold on. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna try to pin it. Okay, yeah, that looks like a link. Wrong one. Y'all really should be laughing with me trying to figure out this technology. It is not even funny because I have tried to stream this live like 8 times from Zoom. I finally got that to work. Now I need to figure out how to connect the Zoom to my schedule live. So if any of you guys are like super techie, holla at your girl because I need your help. But I don't see any new questions. I see a couple people need clarity. I will definitely reach out to you guys. I did give you guys my direct number last time. Lock Lokes. You guys can always text this number to get in contact with me. Andrea, I'm taking a screenshot of your email. Please text me, Andrea, just in case I have any other issues, so that I have your direct confirmation, contact information, and we can get this resolved tonight. Thank y'all so much. Have a good evening and have a great rest of your week. Let's be intentional about everything that we're doing and stay aligned with your vision for 2026, no matter what. Peace.